It is Sunday, February 5th of 2017. I'm in front of the Unitarian Church of Montreal, just starting up my alternative spiritual practice of protesting against Unitarian Universalist injustices, abuses, and hypocrisy. And before I started up my camera, a car drove by, gave a couple of honks on the horn, and gave me a nice big thumbs up. So that was kind of nice. I hadn't even begun my protest, but this is obviously someone who's seen my protest before. I mean, I wasn't even displaying picket signs at the time. So you know, I've been doing this protest pretty consistently since May of 1998. Coming up for the 20th anniversary of protesting in front of the Unitarian Church of Montreal next May, so just over a year from now. I think I can safely say I've been protesting for a good 18 years, and today we're displaying a picket sign in my left hand that says "Unsafe Sect," no longer softening the blow with a question mark. The original version of that picket sign did have a question mark after sect, so basically asking the question, you know, is Unitarian Universalism an unsafe sect? But it's no longer a question. It is a statement, and it's a statement based on decades worth of assessment of how the Unitarian Universalist religious community responds to clergy misconduct of all kinds, both sexual and non-sexual, but also other problems within the Unitarian Universalist religious community that make it less than safe for some people. Obviously, the unsafe sect slogan is a play on words. It obviously alludes to the term safe sex. Excuse me, just a little bit of wind here seeming to knock down my picket signs. This is a little problem I had last week too. It happens every now and then when there's a steady breeze or gusts, and we're just going to try and angle them in such a way they don't blow over. But see there, this is getting bothersome. I have considered using bungee cords or whatever to secure them to the post so that they don't blow over so easily. I know we got a bit too much wind today, so I'm gonna have to, for the time being anyway, bag the extra signs, or sort of stack them up so they have more weight. So yeah, I think I'm just going to go get the other picket signs. One other got blown down. So yeah, it's an unfortunate problem, you know, when there's wind, especially when the picket signs are protected with bags which catch the wind, like sails. They can and do fall down. So a little bit extra weight there, two stacked up together, should be less likely to fall over. So we'll display that one, and we'll also stack up a couple of others so that they're less likely to get blown over. There we go. So yeah, we're reducing the number of visible freestanding picket signs by 2, but we're gonna have one in each hand, not the same ones. I'm putting the unsafe sect picket sign as a freestanding picket sign because it's basically more visible, and the picket signs I have in my hand now go together to form a phrase. In other words, each one on its own is not complete. They basically go together, so that's why I'm holding these ones, because I can't really stack them up without ruining the what they say. So, Unitarian Universalists misuse blasphemy law to cover up and deny pedophilia and rape. So that is an absolutely truthful statement that is based on the fact that in June of 2012, somewhat under 5 years ago, the Unitarian Universalist Association in Boston, so, you know, the corporate headquarters, as it were, of the Unitarian Universalist religious community, the Vatican, as it were, of the Unitarian Universalist religious community, hired Stikeman Elliott barristers and solicitors, litigation lawyer, Maitre Marc-André Coulombe, to have me served with a cease and desist demand letter that, amongst other highly questionable accusations, falsely accused me of the archaic criminal act of blasphemous libel. The exact words from the cease and desist demand letter were, "Your unfounded and vicious allegations to the effect that ministers of the association engage in such despicable crimes as pedophilia and rape are defamatory." And it went on to say that, you know, these allegedly unfounded and vicious allegations are so defamatory that they amount to or constitute the criminal act of blasphemous libel. Now, when I saw the term blasphemous libel, this was the first time I'd seen that term. You know, I'd seen the term blasphemous before, I'd seen the term libel before, I knew what they both meant, but I'd never seen this phrase, blasphemous libel. And so I was curious and Googled it and quickly became aware that Canada has an anti-blasphemy law in the Canadian Criminal Code, and essentially blasphemy against a religion within the Canadian Criminal Code is referred to as blasphemous libel. And essentially it prohibits extreme criticism of religions in Canada. It comes out of the British common law, which, as I understand it, only protected Christianity from alleged blasphemy, although that may have changed, you know, in the 20th century or something, but essentially it was protecting the Christian church and perhaps even more specifically the Anglican Church in England, the official church of the state of England that the Queen is the head of. In any case, Britain actually repealed their blasphemy law in 2008. So I think they made a wise decision in getting rid of it completely. But Canada's still there. And thank you, sir. I appreciate that. Thank you. Oh, well, that's nice. That's a nice change. People going into the church actually helping put back my picket signs. Usually it's the other way around. Usually somebody's stealing my picket signs. I mean, I'm not saying they steal them all the time, but usually when someone entering the Unitarian Church of Montreal grabs my picket signs, it's for the purpose of stealing them or throwing them into the street or something. So it was kind of nice that this fellow, who I have to say I've never seen before, this is a newcomer, kindly helped put my picket sign back in place when the wind blew it out of the position it was in and knocked it down. So a very pleasant change. Yeah, so as we can see, the wind is catching, you know, it's entering into the bags and acting like a sort of a spinnaker sail. So yeah, we may have to completely bag the freestanding picket signs. But anyway, getting back to the whole misuse of blasphemy law thing, Canada's blasphemy law, as I said, essentially prohibits extreme and, you know, according to what the law says, libelous attacks on religions. And Canada's blasphemy law is indeed somewhat more broad than the British one was. For instance, the last time a Canadian was actually convicted of the criminal act of blasphemous libel, the person who was convicted was an Anglican priest, and he was convicted for basically anti-Catholic.
It's lucky you don't have a life.
It's lucky I don't have a life? It's lucky you're a hypocritical Unitarian Universalist who is a total hypocrite, who does not follow even one of the 7 principles of Unitarian Universalism. This right now is a life, and your church thoroughly deserves this protest. You know, I guess all the Unitarian Universalists who protest don't have a life either, do they? What a stupid woman. But this is typical. This is typical of the insults that foolish Unitarian Universalists like to throw at me. And believe me, it's not the first time that a Unitarian Universalist has said, I don't have a life because I'm out Sunday morning protesting against the Unitarian Universalist and Justice's abuses and hypocrisy. Now, the fact of the matter is, yeah, I could be doing other things. I could be out taking photos. I could be going to some other church if I wanted to, or some other religious community. There's any number of other things I could be doing in this time slot. But because I actually do have a life, I think it is well worth my while to protest against Unitarian Universalist anti-religious intolerance and bigotry, Unitarian Universalist clergy abuse of all kinds, both sexual and non-sexual, and certainly the immoral, unethical, borderline criminal, just plain evil, and quite frankly batshit crazy misuse of Canada's blasphemy law by the Unitarian Universalist religious community in Bill Cosby-style legal bullying that's clearly intended to intimidate me into removing the Emerson Avenger blog posts that tell the well-documented truth about such despicable crimes committed by certain Unitarian Universalist ministers, such despicable crimes as pedophilia and rape, I should say, good day, sir, committed by not only Unitarian Universalist ministers, but Unitarian Universalist Sunday school teachers and Unitarian Universalist lay people. So I think this is a very worthwhile cause. I quite enjoy my Sunday constitutionals when I spend an hour and a half or so, maybe 2 hours, sometimes more. There's occasions where I may actually protest for as much as 3 hours on a Sunday when I have nothing particularly better to do. But, you know, I think this is a very worthwhile activity. And it's kind of ludicrous for this woman to suggest I don't have a life because I'm protesting, when in fact engaging in peaceful public protest is something that Unitarian Universalists do in terms of causes that they want to, you know, protest against, you know, or protest for. So it's just foolish for this woman to suggest I don't have a life because I'm protesting. And actually, you know, I think being accused of blasphemy in the 21st century by atheist Unitarians is a very interesting part of my life. I'm enjoying every second of it, quite frankly. It's so insane that atheist Unitarians, specifically Unitarian Universalist Association President, Reverend Dr. Peter Morales, and retired Executive Vice President of the Unitarian Universalist Association, Kathleen K. Montgomery, would actually have the unmitigated gall to totally disregard most, if not all, of Unitarian Universalism's principles and ideals, but also to completely betray a centuries-old tradition of opposing blasphemy laws. The Unitarian and Universalist religions, prior to merging in 1961, were both considered, and they still are, considered heretical sects. And Unitarians and Universalists have been... Bonjour, ça va?
Ça va bien, vous?
Très bien, très bien. C'est toujours un honneur d'être accusé de blasphème dans le 21e siècle.
Vous êtes accusé de ça?
Oui, oui, par l'Église, oui.
OK, vous êtes allé là, puis vous êtes fait accuser?
Well, actuellement, c'est le bureau chef de l'Église, pas l'Église locale, mais le Vatican à Boston, qui m'a accusé de libelle blasphématoire contre la religion Unitarian Universaliste.
Est-ce que vous étiez pasteur ou vous étiez...
Non, j'étais pas pasteur. J'étais membre de l'Église ici. J'ai été attaqué par le pasteur. Et j'ai été maltraité par le pasteur et autres membres de l'Église. Puis l'accusation de blasphème, c'est plus récent. C'est pas tellement récent, ça vient.
Parce que vous faisiez partie de cette église-là, en fait. Pas de celle-ci nécessairement.
Non, j'étais membre ici, localement, mais aussi dans la région de plus grande envergure. Mais effectivement, j'ai eu des problèmes ici, localement. Mais ça a augmenté, ça.
En tout cas... bonne chance pour vous sentir mieux dans tout ça.
Je sens très bien d'être accusé de blasphème.
Oui, ça, vous devez vous sentir mal. Là. Oui.
Pardon?
Vous devez vous sentir mal là-dedans.
Non, pas en tout. C'est complètement farfelu, c'est débile, c'est bullshit. Moi, j'aime ça.
Bonne chance, en tout cas.
Merci beaucoup. Bonne journée, monsieur. So this francophone gentleman wishes me a good day. And he's going into the church. He's somebody who's coming to attend the church, but he's also a new face. I've actually seen a fair number of new faces in the last week or two. So I suspect the church is doing something to try to attract